Hey fellow fanatics, today and all day we have Fanatically Real Redraft draft selection shows for you. We've got one every 2 hours starting at 10 o'clock all the way to 8 p.m. and we're going to get your day started with the East Canadian Banshees region, and that's going to happen in about 20 seconds. Hey fellow fanatics, welcome to the special edition of the Fanatic Real broadcast, as we will be having 6 of these shows today, as everybody in the Fanatically Real redraft, all 72 teams, will know by the end of the day what draft position they are drafting from on 20 August, which is next Sunday at 7 p.m. East Coast time. Every single team, every single region will be drafting at the exact same time. So we're going to get this started with the Banshees region today. This is a combination of general managers from 3 different parts of the country, the world. We have everybody in East Canada. We have those that are normally in the New England Phoenix region and those that are in the Mid-Atlantic Kraken region, all being combined into the East Canadian Banshee region this year. And the 12 of those teams, again, like I said, will be drafting next Sunday at 7 p.m. East Coast time. It looks like we've got one person out there right now. Hopefully you are an East Canadian Banshee watching this. So let's show what this looks like for everybody who's never seen this before. So we do something here a little bit different at FSA when we do our draft selection show for people to learn. Sean Isaac out there with us this morning. Good morning, Sean. How are you? The Ray Finkel's Dream coming up here in a little bit. I think we're going to probably show that logo here shortly. But here's how this goes. We do kind of a double blind draw method. Then we roll some what we call action dice, which is the 2 6-sided dice that you see on the left-hand side of the screen in the middle there. We roll a 12-sided die to put people on the board. As we roll the 2 6-sided die, it's kind of like craps. We add those 2 digits up together and we get 2 through 12. You can see the list of what the action dice cause to happen with that board. And then as we get down and all 12 teams are on the board, we do one more roll with 2 4-sided dice. We call it the final roll. It messes the board up one more time for everybody to figure out where their final resting spot is going to be for when they draft, again, next Sunday, 20 August at 7 p.m. East Coast time. I see Matt Kroll on with us as well. I'm glad that the chats are coming up here. I will tell you that I can't remember the last time we did one of these on OBS. But it was definitely a learning curve to remind myself how to make this all happen. Thank you to Jason Hazlett, who was able to get on the phone with me this morning to help me through all of this. So hopefully that we will have no hiccups throughout this whole show. Oh, one of the things that you're going to see that looks a little bit different from our years past is the way the dice look in the middle of the screen. This looks different because the previous online dice program that we used to use no longer exists. So we had to go out and hunt and search for a new one. I just recently used this one as I did the Ottawa Valley Coffee redraft, or their selection show for them with 14 teams. And for whatever reason, in my infinite dumbness, I did not save this dice program. So I had to hunt for it this morning, and it took quite a while. So let's start off with, let's give a little bit more detail. So we talked about the double blind draw method, all right? So what I have here is I have all of the logos for all of the teams that are in the East Canadian region draft. Some of these you'll see are just names because we don't have logos created for those teams yet. However, we do have about 2 or 3 weeks before the season starts, so we can get the logos created for them. For now, guys will be represented by their team name on here. Got them by their team name here on the screen as they pop up. Kind of show you what that means when we say pop up. So we'll pull up the very first team here. Average Joe's pops up there in the corner to the right of me, right there. Whenever that team gets pulled out of the hat, we will pop them up in there. We'll figure out what spot they're going to go on the board, and then we will move them around on the board. You should see that happening live as it's getting moved around, and then you'll see what spots these teams are going into. So how do we get the teams first to get up on the board? So what we do is, this is the double blind draw method. So what I'm going to do is, I'm still sitting here flapping my gums. I'm going to fold each one of these 12 teams into fourths. And then they are going to get put into this 25th anniversary Walter FSA hat. And we will shake the hat and we will pull a team out. Once we pull that very first team out, we will roll the 12-sided die that you see there on the right-hand side of the 2 die screens. Once we roll that, that team will get put into that position. Then we will roll the 2 6-sided dice. That is our action dice, and the total of those 2 dice will make happen what is on that list on the right-hand side. And we will continue until all 12 teams are on the board. And then, like we said, we have another list, which is the final roll list. And we will roll that with 2 4-sided die. And once we roll that with a 2 4-sided die, that last roll will definitely shake up the board one more time, because we have designed that 2 4-sided die, that last roll, to make sure that it actually does something to the board. I think it was about 2 years ago or something like that, we would still roll the 2 6-sided die. And if it happens to be one of those things like a 7 that says spin until an open position is filled, until we would roll a die until an open position is filled. All of the teams were already there, so we would say, okay, the board stays as it is. It was actually an idea from Toby Keller, one of our members in the APFL league, that said, let's do something so we know that it absolutely messes with the board at the end, because that's what he started doing with his leagues when he adopted this thing. And I thought it was a great idea. I just realized that I'm going to have to switch this up before we get into the next draft for the day. You'll see it say spin on here instead of roll. What happened was, whenever I did the Ottawa Valley Coffee League, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, because they have 14 teams and there's no 14-sided die, I had to find a wheel that would be able to do the numbers 1 through 14. So I changed the rules to say spin instead of roll. So if you see the word spin on there, that means we're going to roll the dice. Now, in the previous program that we had, as we would roll, say, multiple-sided die, like in this case, let's say we rolled 2 12-sided die to swap teams. Or if we rolled a 10 on the action dice and we ended up saying we're going to do 3 rolls of the 12-sided dice and swap teams. As the dice got rolled and as the total came up, it actually gave us each one of the dice as well as it was rolled. This does not do that unless I push on that little I that you probably can't see because I got it cut off the screen right now. But what happens is when I push on that I, it gives me the 3 dice that are there. Now, they're not in any particular order. They're not like from lowest to highest or whatever. I'm not sure if it's the way that the dice stop rolling. We never really got an answer from that with the last program that we used. But what I will tell you is that I've rolled it about a dozen times today. It comes up in all kinds of different orders. So what's going to happen is when we get to, let's say, a 10 and we're swapping 3 teams, and I push on that little I, it will go through the numbers that are on the table there. And what we'll do is we'll move the team that is in the first position to the second position, the team that is in the second position to the third position, and the team that is in the third position back to that first number's position. So I see you guys are trying to get Jamie in. Hopefully he is here. I see that we got 6 on. Hopefully you all, I know Matt is going to be getting drafted. His show is later on as he is in West Canada. His is the last show of the day, so 8 o'clock tonight East Coast time is when his is going to happen. So hopefully the other 5 people that are out there right now are all from the East Canadian region. So I've talked enough. I've been live for about 10 minutes now. Those that have seen this before know what this is all about, you know, with the action dice and stuff like that. If not, you'll figure it out real quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the 12 teams in the hat. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. What we're going to do is we're going to cover up this hat, and we're going to shake the dickens out of it, and we're going to pull a team out of here. The very first team we pull out of this hat we will roll the 12-sided die. When we roll the 12-sided die, they will be the first ones that go up on the board. Now, you're going to see me look in this direction quite a bit today. The reason being is my third screen that I'm using to make all of this happen is my big screen TV here in the room, and it's mounted on the wall, and that's where the 12-sided die is at. So as I'm looking up in that direction now, you'll know why I'm looking in that direction a whole lot. So first team out of the hat is Jonathan Broughton and his team Groot. So let's pull Groot up real quick so everybody can see what his logo looks like. We're going to roll the 12-sided die and figure out where we are putting Groot on the board, and we are putting him in the number 1 spot. What a spot to start off from. Now, those of you who have seen this show know that sitting in these spots are very short-lived. So Jonathan, based on what happens with the action dice, could turn around and be right in the number 12 spot really, really fast. But before we make any assumptions, we're going to roll the 2 6-sided die, which is our action dice, and find out what happens. It says 3, which means we are going to pull a team from the board. However, the only way we're going to pull a team from the board, since Jonathan and Jonathan's team Groot is the only one on the board, is if I come over here and I roll the 12-sided die, and we happen to get a 1 again. And we roll an 8. So no teams come off the board, so what we're going to do is roll the action dice again. And please, as I'm going through, I can see y'all's chat over here. So Sean and Matt, I see you on there. The other people that might be here as well, if you're out there, chat, ask questions. Just BS with me, because if not, it's just me doing a lot of flopping of my jaws. So we rolled the action dice, and we got 8 with 3 and 5. 8 means we are going to spin and replace a team if that position is already filled. There isn't a lot of teams on the board right now. Jonathan, number 1 spot, how are you, brother? So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the next team out. We'll roll the 12-sided die. If it happens to be a 1, we will replace Jonathan's team. If not, whatever we roll, this team will just go in there. And we got Trevor Boyd and Chaos as the next one that's going on the board. Trevor, we're going to roll the 12-sided die and see where you go on the board. You are going into the number 9 position. So let's get Trevor's team pulled up, Chaos. And let's get him moved over to the 9 position. Again, don't get real comfortable with these spots. They can change really, really quick. The only thing that can keep your team locked in a particular position is if we roll an 11 or... actually, I think that's it, because we ended up changing 2 to a 3-team swap. Used to be a lock on that one as well. If you roll an 11, that team will be locked, and we got a little lock icon that we will put on that team. And that team, no matter what happens, even if we roll Snake Eyes later on, which is pull everybody from the board, that team is locked in that position. So if you ever get locked and you get the little icon on there, you were locked in that position no matter what happens on the board. So if we roll Snake Eyes and then we roll it again later, we will do not clear the board twice. We actually end up changing it to a 3-team swap, which is why you see that on the number 2 there that says clear board / 3-team swap. So we got Trevor in the number 9 spot, so we're going to roll the action dice now. The action dice says 11, and we're sitting there talking about it right now with the possibility of a lock. The only way we're going to get a lock is if we spin or roll a 1 or a 9 on the 12-sided die. So let's roll that and see what we get. Ooh, that bounced around a little bit. We got a 5. Nobody's in that spot, so nobody's locked in there yet. So we are going to go back to the action dice and roll those. We got a 4, which means every team is going to move up or down a position based on the 12-sided die roll. So I'm going to roll the 12. If it is an odd number, everybody moves up 1 position. If it's an even number, everybody moves down 1 position. So you got to think of the board as circular. So what happens is if I roll a odd number and everybody moves up 1 spot, that means Jonathan, who is in the number 1 spot, Groot, moves down to the number 12 spot. So instead of delaying any longer, let's find out what your fate is going to be. Let's roll a die. The die comes up as a 12, which is an even number, meaning everybody moves down 1 spot. So Jonathan, you don't move far. You go down to number 2. Trevor, you move down to 10. So there, Jonathan says, here we go. Mitch says he wants my photo as his team logo. Which one are we talking about? Are we talking about the one with you in that awesome get up with the beard and the sunglasses and all of that stuff? Let me know. We can make that happen. So everybody moved down one spot. So we are rolling action dice to see what the next thing is. It is 3, which means we're going to pull a team from the board. We are only going to pull the team from the board if we roll a 2 or a 10. Let's see if that happens. Oh, it's a 10. So we are going to pull Trevor from the board. He is going to get put back into the mix, and so everybody sees it. I've got Trevor's logo right here, and Trevor is going back into the hat, and like he was never even there. We're going to roll action dice again and see what happens. We get a 6. It means we're going to swap team's position with 2 spins. In this case, we don't have to do 2 spins because we're able to pull 2 12-sided die. So we're going to add a second 12-sided die up there. You'll see it roll in just a second. And the only way we're going to swap positions if one of these 2 dice actually is a 2, because that's where Jonathan sits right now. So we are rolling these 2 dice. We have a 2 and an 11. That means Jonathan is moving from the number 2 spot down to the number 11 spot. And just like that, it happens really, really quick. Kind of sucks right now that you're the only one on the board. You say you're so lonely. Well, let's get somebody else on the board for you. Let's roll a number 5. Number 5 says, spin until an open position is filled. So we have to get a name out of the hat first before we can spin to fill in an open position. The only position that is currently filled is number 11. So as long as we roll anything but an 11, this team is going to go on the board. The team that is going to go on the board is Edward Wright and the Werebears. So let's see where we're going to put Edward. Let's reduce this back down to 1 12-sided die. Let's roll. And as long as it's not an 11, he's going on the board. He is going in the number 1 position. So the Werebears are now on the board in the number 1 position. Jonathan no longer lonely, and the guy just took your spot. Let's roll some action dice. Action dice say 9. It means we're going to swap teams' positions with 2 rolls of the 12-sided die. Only 2 teams we got on the board are 1 and 11. So if either one of those numbers come up, people are swapping around. We got a 12 and a 5. Nobody is moving in this case. So we're going to roll the action dice again. Action dice says 9. It means we're going to swap 2 teams' positions. Let's roll that again. And if a 1 or an 11 comes up, we're moving some people around. 11 got picked. So the number 11 team, which is Jonathan, who has been pretty lonely on the board until now, is moving up to the number 3 spot. So he was 1, he was 2, he was 11, now he's 3. And Jonathan says to Edward as well, good luck, you won't stay there very long. As you can already tell, he's being moved around the board quite a bit. Let's roll some action dice. Action dice say an 11, which means we're going to lock a team on the board if we roll a single 12-sided die and a 1 or a 3 comes up. If not, we will just roll the action dice again. And number 1, so we said he won't stay there very long, but Edward Wright has got the number 1 spot no matter what happens the rest of this draft. We're going to take this cute little lock icon and put it right over there in the number 1 spot. So as teams get moved around and shifted up and down and all kinds of stuff, that number 1 spot will get jumped over and moved around about. And Edward, if you're out there right now watching this, or if you're going to watch it later and you're seeing it for the first time, you have the number 1 draft position, no matter what. Let's roll some action dice. Action dice say 6, which means we are flipping the whole board. Again, Edward is the only team that doesn't move. So Jonathan, because the whole board gets flipped and 1 becomes 12 and 2 becomes 11, 3 becomes 10. So you are moving down to the 10 position. We need to get some more teams on the board. These dice are cruel today. Action dice say 12, we're flipping the whole board again, putting you right back in the number 3 spot. Let's roll some action dice. 5 says we're going to spin until an open position is filled. The only spots that are filled are 1 and 3. So as long as we don't spin a 1 or a 3, the next team out of the hat is going to hit the board. And that team is... we're putting Trevor back on the board again. So Trevor will go into the number 9 position. I think he was already sitting there at one point, wasn't he? So let's pull him back up. Chaos is open. We're going to put him in the number 9 spot. He was either 9 or 10, I think, right from the very beginning. And let's roll some action dice. Whereabouts has left the chat. Yeah, if he was here and he knows where he's picking from, he's already done. Sorry, we got another lock the team. So if we get a 3 or a 9 on the 12-sided die, we got another team locked. If not, we will be rolling the action dice again. We got a 10, so that doesn't lock anybody. So we are going to roll the action dice. We got a 4, which means we are moving all teams up or down a position based on an odd or an even roll of the 12-sided die. Only team not moving is the Werebears at number 1. So we rolled a 3, which is an odd number, meaning everybody is moving up one position. So Jonathan, you're moving up to 2. Trevor, you're moving up to 8. We're going to roll the action dice. Man, we need to get some teams on the board. Number 9, we're swapping teams' positions with 2 12-sided die. The only other 2 teams that can move on the board are 2 and 8. So if we roll a 2 or an 8, they are moving. We got a 2, and they are moving down to number 9. So Jonathan, you are going to move into the spot that Trevor was just in. I swear, I feel like you're getting abused, man. You're all over this board. We need to get some teams on there so you're not the only one taking the blunt of all of this. Get some action dice rolled. 5 means we are going to spin until an open position is filled. That means if we spin a 1, 8, or 9, we have to spin again. If not, this team that I'm pulling out now will hit the board. That team is going to be, we got Mike Catania. Mike is going to go on the board. He is going to go into the number 8 position is already filled, so because we rolled an 8, we have to re-roll until an open position shows up. So we have to roll the 12-sided die again. Oh, no, wait a minute. That was an 8. It says we're going to replace the team if it was filled. I'm sorry. So we are going to put Mike Catania into the 8 spot. I apologize for that. I didn't realize that we rolled. No. 5 means spin into an open position. I was looking at the wrong dice. Now we have an 8 on the board. It's still filled by somebody there. I got confused by looking at the board. We're going to roll again. Don't mind me. I know what I'm doing. 12. Mike Catania is going into the 12 spot. I move possession more than a NASCAR race. All right. So everybody who was watching that knows that we were spinning until an open position is filled. We rolled 8 2 times in a row. But that spot was filled up. Nobody could go in there. We're putting Mike Catania on the board in the 12 spot. So let's get Mike's name up. Let's put him into the 12 spot. Please let me know if I did all of that right. If I messed up, I'll pause for just a second because you guys are behind me by a little bit. Let me know if that was all correct. And I'll pause for just a second before we go to the next action dice. Let me know. Need a little drink of my Red Bull anyways. I need wings to get through all of this. Jonathan, I know you're out there. Matt, I know you guys are out there. Did all of that go right? Nothing heard means we must be okay. So we're going to roll the action dice. Action dice say we got a 4, which means every team is moving up or down the board. You are good. Okay, thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate you. Yeah, I sure was looking at the wrong dice on here on the screen. I was looking at the 12-sided die and look at the 8 for the list instead of the action dice over here. But this action dice says 4. We're moving up or down the board based on an odd or an even roll. 12-sided die says 6, which is an even number, means we are moving everybody down one position on the board. So that means, Jonathan, you're going down to 10. Trevor's going back to 9. Mike, who just got put on the board in 12, has to skip over the Werebears, and he moves to number 2. Now we roll action dice. All right, 7. We're going to spin into an open position, gets rolled. This is what we would think would happen more often, is this number 7 by odds. It hasn't happened very much today, if at all. Next team going on the board is Brett Hanley is going on the board. This is the Koalas. Matt says I'm good as well. Thank you all. I don't want to look anything like Matt. Mitch, we'll get you figured out. We'll get logos for all the rest of the guys up there in East Canada before the season gets started. So we are going to put Brett on the board. We are going to put him, we're going to spin until a position open is filled. If we happen to roll one of these that already has a team in it, we will re-roll. Right now, number 4 is open, so the Koalas are going to go into the number 4 position. And we're going to spin some action dice. He said there he is, so Mitch is online. So 8, we're going to spin and replace the team if the position is filled. So in this case, whoever we pull out of the hat will go on the board. But if we spin a 2, 4, 9, or 10, they will replace the team that is in that spot. The team that is absolutely going to go on the board is James Hargraves is going on the board right now. Let's figure out what spot he is going into and if he's replacing anybody or just going into an empty spot. He is going into the number 7 spot. There is nobody there, so he is going to slide into the number 7 spot. Name just a little bit long, so we'll try to get him centered up as best we can so we can see him on there. And we're going to re-roll the action dice. Action dice say 6, which means we're going to swap 2 teams' positions based on 2d12. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that can move around now, so it's a possibility that we will have some movement. Let's see what we get. Number 12 and number 12 are moving. There is nobody in the number 12 and number 12, so we are going to re-roll the action dice. Action dice say 8. It says we're going to spin and replace a team, which just like what we did when we got James on the board. If we spin this and somebody is already in that spot, this team that comes out of the hat will replace them. That means the team coming out of the hat will absolutely go on the board. And that's Sean's team, Ray Finkel's Dream. Logo ended up turning out great. This one I think is the first almost fully one that we did on using AI Midjourney to create this logo. So that was a lot of fun. So Sean, you are going on the board. We just got to figure out where you're going to go and if you're going to replace anybody. You are going in the number 4 position, which has the Koalas in it right now. So we are going to put you in the number 4 spot. The Koalas come off the board. Let's move Ray Finkel's Dream up in there. Take the Koalas. Let me find him here in my list. And then let's make sure that we get the Koalas back in the hat so everybody sees him go back in the hat. He's getting thrown back in there. And let's roll some action dice. All right, we got a number 6, which means we're going to swap 2 teams' positions with the 2 12-sided dice. Only team that can't move right now is the number 1 spot. We are going to move around the number 2 and the number 9. So Mike and Trevor move. Number 2 and number 9 swap, and we are back to the action dice. 12 means we are flipping the whole board. So 2 becomes 11. 3 and 10 swap. 4 and 9 swap. And 7 becomes 6. It's happened quite a bit already today. And now we're back to the action dice. Sean says boom. And then he moved really, really quick and moved down to the number 9 spot. Now we rolled a number 9 means we're going to swap 2 teams' positions with 2 12-sided dice. 2 12-sided dice say we are moving number 3 and number 12. Jonathan getting beat up on again, going down to the number 12 spot. Unfortunately, will not be able to move into the number 1 spot, but could move into the number 2 spot. And Mitch says he's so confused, but granted, it doesn't take much. Mitch, just look at the list that's there on the board. When you see the action dice come up, that's what we're going to do. And the rest of it is just me making sure that I don't screw it up. Damien says he likes all the movement. Yeah, it's really crazy that we're having a lot of movement with this one. I did the 14-team one for the Ottawa Valley Coffee guys. We hardly had any movement. In fact, we didn't get a snake eye. Man, I just jinxed myself. We didn't even get a snake eyes for that one. But right now we got a number 11. We got quite a few teams on the board, which means we're about to lock a team possibly based on rolling of one 12-sided die. If we come up with a 4, 6, 9, 11, or 12, that team is locked in that position. If not, we will roll the action dice again. We got a number 1. That spot's already locked, so we don't have to worry about that. Whew. For those of you that were worried about being in that 11 or 12 or 9 spot, you don't have to worry about it now. We're re-rolling the action dice. Number 9 means we are swapping 2 teams' positions with 2 12-sided dice. Let's see who we are moving around. We are moving number 5 and number 5. That can't happen, plus there's nobody in number 5, so let's roll some action dice again. Number 4 means we are moving everybody up or down the board by a position based on an odd or an even roll. Roll one 12-sided die. We have an even number, which means everybody is moving down one position. So the first team we get to move is Jonathan Broughton. He can't go to 1. He goes to 2. Trevor goes to 12. Sean goes to 10. James goes to 7, which is where he was just at a second ago. And Catania moves over to number 5. And we roll the action dice again. 8 means we are spinning and replacing a team if a position is filled. So the team that gets pulled out of here is absolutely going on the board. They might be replacing one of these teams that's on the board unless a number 1 is spun. We are putting the koalas back on the board. They are going to go into the number 7 spot. So Hargraves is coming off the board, putting him over here. The koalas are going on the board in the number 7 spot. And then let's get James's team right here put back into the hat. And then let's roll some action dice. Action dice say 7, which means we're going to spin until an open position is filled. So in this case, we will keep spinning until we get a 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, or 11 to fill that spot. And the team that we are putting in there is, well, we just pulled him off the board, and he's getting ready to go right back on the board, and he's got to go in one of these open spots. This could take a little bit because we have to get an open number. So it's got to be 3, 4, 6. 12 is already filled, so we will roll again. We got to get 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, or 11. There's 8, so we will put James right back on the board, and we will put him in the 8 spot, and we will roll the action dice. All right, 10 means we are doing 3 swaps. So I don't think you all are going to be able to see this as I put it up here because I do have the information closed out on your side of the screen, which is like right above where the 12-sided die is sitting at. But I have put 3 dice up there right now. What I'm going to end up doing is rolling the 3 die. You'll see the numbers come up. I will push on the I, which is the little information icon when the total comes up. Actually, you might be able to see it right there. Actually, I can see it. You can't see it. I will tell you the order in which these teams are going to be moved, and then that's how we'll swap it. Again, the first number replaces the second number replaces the third number, and the third number replaces the first number. So let's roll the 3 12-sided die. Now the numbers that we have are 7, 3, and 8. The information says that the 8 came up first. So 8, which is James, is going to go into 3. There was no team from 3 to move into 7, and then 7 is going to move into 8. And that is our 3-team swap. I guess you all can see it. It did pop up, didn't it? Okay, 8, 3, 7. You can see it there. Good. Glad. Now you know I'm not fibbing you. Good deal. Let's roll some action dice. Action dice say 6, which means we're going to swap 2 teams' positions with 2 12-sided die. We are going to move. Can't move number 1, and because there's no team in number 6, so nobody gets moved. So we are going to roll the action dice again. 8 means we're going to replace a team if the position is filled. But before we do, we have to get a team out of the hat. No matter what, the team that's coming out of the hat will be going on the board. The team coming out of the hat is Jamie. I don't know, Jamie, if you ended up making it out there or not. I think everybody was trying to get a hold of you. Hopefully you are out there. Jamie's getting ready to go on the board, and Jamie is going to go into some spot and maybe replacing somebody. Number 1, he cannot go into the number 1 spot because there's already somebody there. So we will have to re-roll. He is going into the number 5 spot, and he is going to replace Catania. So Jamie is going into the number 5 spot. Mike is coming off. Jamie moving into the spot a little bit better. Mike coming off. And Mike, we're putting you back in the hat, just so you know. You can see you going back in the hat. And we're rolling again. Action dice say 8 says spin and replace a team if the position is filled. So same thing we just ended up doing. So whoever comes out of the hat is definitely going in. That team coming out of the hat and definitely going on the board with a possible replacement is Sean. This is my TikTok buddy here. I very much appreciate him joining the league this year. Sean is going to go on the board in the number 8 spot. So we are pulling Koalas off the board again. Sean is going into that position. Why won't you move, Sean? There we go. Sean is moving into that position. The Koalas are back in the hat again. And we're rolling the action dice. Man, I hope the other shows go a little bit easier than this one. This one's tough. So we got a 7, which means we have to spin into an open position is filled. We have to get a team out of the hat first. The only spots left open are 4, 6, 7, 9, and 11. So we have to fill one of those spots. Putting koalas right back on the board after we pulled them out. So we will have to roll a die until the spot is open. So again, we've got quite a few spots already filled. So it's going to take us a little bit to maybe get there. Number 3 spot is filled. Roll again. Number 2 spot is filled. Roll again. Number 6 spot is open. So the koalas who just came off the board, going back on the board and going in the 6th spot. I feel like there's a couple of teams that never have been pulled out of this hat yet. Can't wait to get to them. Let's roll the action dice first. Action dice say 5 means we're going to spin until an open position is filled. Very much like what we just did. Open spots left are 4, 7, 9, and 11. 4, 7, 9, and 11. We are going to put Josh Curley on the board, Ottawa Valley. So we're going to put Josh on the board. We have to roll a 4, 7, 9, or 11. Again, this could take a little bit. 12 is filled. 4, 7, 9, or 11. 12 is filled. Swear that wasn't a repeat. 5 is filled. There we go, number 7. So we're putting Ottawa Valley on the board in the number 7 spot. Ended up being a great logo. Great logo. So let's do another roll of the action dice. We got another 7, which means we're going to pull another team out of the hat, and we're going to spin until the 4, 9, or 11 come up. Matt says, gotta grab breakfast, hotel life. Good luck. Kisses to Mitch. Mitch, he loves you. Let's see. We got Eric Talbot and the Average Joes coming out. There's another team we hadn't seen yet. So, Eric, we've got to spin until you get a 4, 9, or 11. Again, could take a little bit. 12 keeps popping up. That's already filled. 4, 9, or 11. 4, 9, or 11. Still waiting for it. Keep rolling. There's an 8. 4, 9, or 11. Ugh, this could take a while. 12 keeps popping up. 4, 9, or 11. There's a 4. All right. Eric, you are going into the number 4 spot. Let's get Average Joe's pulled up. You are going into the number 4 spot. We got 2 spots left. Let's see what we've got for the action dice. We've got a 3, which means we are pulling a team from the board. And it's going to be any of these teams that have anybody in it already. If not, if it's 1, 9, or 11, we don't have to worry about it. But somebody might be coming off the board. It is number 10. Sean, you are coming off the board. Ray Finkel's Dream. So let's get you moved over there. Ray Finkel's Dream. Let's get you put back into the hat. I got to find you. Where's Ray Finkel? There he is. Ray Finkel going back in the hat. Oh, back in the hat, rolling the action dice. Action dice say 6, means we're swapping team's position with 2 12-sided dice. Let's see who might be moving around. We cannot move number 1, so we will re-roll the action dice. Number 11 means we are going to lock a team on the board. We have quite a few spots that are already filled, so it means another team could possibly be locked on the board. We're going to roll 1 12-sided die to see who that could be. And that is going to be number 10. Nobody is in that spot, so nobody gets locked. So we are re-rolling the action dice. It's like these dice know today. There's another locked team, so let's roll the 12-sided die again and see this time if we get a locked team. Number 11, there's nobody in that spot either. So let's re-roll these dice. All right, we got a number 8, means we are spinning and we're replacing the team if the position is filled. So if we roll a 9, 10, or 11, this team that comes out of the hat will just go into that spot. However, if we roll one of these other numbers other than the number 1, this team will go and take that spot. And we are putting Catania back on the board again. And we are going to put him in the number 6 spot. So he is going to pull the koalas off the board. I don't know why Mike won't move. There we go. Koalas coming off the board one more time. Mike is now on the board. Koala's getting hidden. And let's find the koalas, put them back in the hat again. Mitch says no one cares about your hotel life and breakfast and how much kisses you want to give to people. Let's roll some action dice. Number 10 means we are swapping 3 teams. So you all know, we do know now that you can see these. So let's put up 3 12-sided dice. Let's roll and see what numbers we get. We got 2, 12, and 3. Let's see what order these came up in. So 3 is moving to 2. So James is moving to the 2nd spot. Jonathan Broughton in the 2 spot is moving down to the 12 spot. And then Chaos is moving from the 12 to the number 3 spot. And just like that, big changes on the board. James is now in a 2 spot. Let's roll some action dice. Snake eyes, are you freaking kidding me? All right, for those who have never seen this show before, and those that were worried about where their team was at, the only team that stays on the board right now is Edward Wright in the Werebears because he is locked. All the rest of you and all that board stuff that was happening, doesn't matter. None of that matters because every single one of you get folded up and you all get put back in the hat. And we starting this all over like none of this happened except for the Werebears staying on the board, which I have moved completely out of this list. Make sure he stays way over here. And I have to take a moment after I get everybody back in the hat to get everybody cleared off the board. And we're going to start this all over as if none of that ever happened. So those of you that were like, oh man, I'm so happy with that spot. I hope I stay in that spot. You might still get back to that spot. But for now, you're going back into the loading dock. And everything that we just did for the last, 40-ish minutes or so, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. For whatever reason, those that have done this with me for a couple of years seem to love the snake eyes. I, however, don't like it so much because so much extra work. He says it's noon somewhere. Yeah, actually, the next show starts in 15-ish minutes. We might have to delay the next show by a little bit. Oh, not pulling anybody out. We got to roll action dice first. If we have to roll Snake Eyes somewhere else, or Snake Eyes again, it will do a 3-team swap. So we're rolling a 7. We're putting a team on the board. Next team out of the thing will go into the spots either 2 through 12 because the number 1 is locked. It all starts again, Jonathan says. Yep, for everybody, it all starts again. All right, Eric Talbot, Average Joe's. We're going to put him on the board. He is going to go into the number 7 spot. So Average Joe's going into the number 7 spot. See if we can speed this up a little bit this time. Number 7 spot. Let's roll some action dice. What's a record for Snake Eyes in a draft select show? So one year we did 2. And then I think even during that show we decided that we weren't going, if we got another Snake Eyes, we were just going to do something different. And that made us move this to this 3-team swap thing, even during that same show. I think we ended up doing a lock the board for the next year or so. And then this year we decided to change it to a 3-team swap instead. So did we just roll action dice and get 2 Snake Eyes again? So we're doing a 3-team swap because we ended up just rolling to put him in the number 7 and we rolled the action dice. We got a 3-team swap. I don't know what that's going to look like right now because we've only got 1 team on the board. Only if the number 7 comes up do we move anybody. Number 7 does not come up, so we're rolling it. Since you asked what the record was and we turned right around and rolled it again, there's 2, but in this case it would have been a 3-team swap and it didn't hurt anything. So we're rolling a 7 means we're going to spin into an open position as filled. They like to see me go crazy. We had one year, Jonathan. I think you were actually a part of that when you watched it. We were on the last. Are you all there? Let me know if you could see this. All of a sudden, my stream just stopped. Please let me know if you can still see me. I don't think it was you, Sean, that got messed up. I actually think it was me. We're back. Okay. I don't know what happened. My stream stopped on one side. I don't know what's going on. So we got Sean. We got Curly just put up in the number 5 spot. We are re-rolling. Man, I don't know what's going on with this stuff today. It's a Snake Eye. Screwed everything up. 8. Pull a team out of the hat. We'll replace a team that's on the board. We might have to delay the next region, which is the Black Dragons region, because I still have to do the art and moving everything over. I don't know if an hour is going to be enough time to do it, even if we finish in the next 12 minutes. Mitch is going on the board. Mitch will replace a team if we roll a number 7 or a number 5. If not, he just goes on the board. Okay, so Mitch is going to replace Average Joe's. So Mitch is replacing Average Joe's. Average Joe's comes off the board. Mitch going here. Average Joe's, which is right here, going back in the hat. Man. Let's roll some action dice. Action dice has 5. Spin until an open position is filled. Means we got to pull a name out of the hat first. Could be one of the longest shows ever. This might end up even being longer than the show where we actually had the 2 Snake Eyes we had to pull everybody off the board for. Joe's going right back on. Joe's are going to go and spin into an open position. Needs to be filled. So let's roll. As long as we don't get a 5 or a 7, he's going on the board. He's going into the 8 spot. So let's move him to the 8 spot. And let's roll some action dice. We got an 8. Spin and replace a team if position is filled. So we'll pull this one out. Whoever comes out will definitely go on the board, and they might be replacing somebody. We are putting James on the board. He is going to go into the number 8 spot. And He is actually, let's see, spin and replace a team if the position is already filled. So coming off the board, James is going on the board. Let's close out Average Joe's there. James is going on the board into the number 8 spot. Average Joe's going back in the hat. Rolling action dice. I need a drink. I need more than just a Red Bull. Swap 2 teams' positions with the 2 12-sided dice. Let's see if we're moving anybody. Cannot move number 1 because they are locked, so we will re-roll the action dice. Action dice say 7, means we're going to put somebody on the board. We get to roll into a position, opens up. Spots open are 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 10, and 11. We are putting on the board Sean. Sean is going on the board. Let's get this back down to 1 12-sided die. Because we rolled a 7, we have to roll into a spot is actually open. 12 is currently open, so Sean will be going into the number 12 spot. Action dice. Y'all talk to me out there. I need some love. Spin and replace a team if position is filled. So team coming out of the hat. Definitely going on the board. Maybe a team coming off the board. Sean Isaac, Ray Finkel. You are going on the board for sure. You might be replacing somebody. You are going in the number 10 spot. There is nobody there, so you just slide into that spot. Number 10. All right. Let's roll the action dice. Action dice say 8. Spin and replace a team. Just to give you all a warning, this thing had a thing set up here that said that I could only broadcast for an hour. I don't know if that's true. I'm live. I should be able to go as long as I want. We are about 7 minutes and 45 seconds away from that 1 hour mark. If for some reason I go off, I will pause everything and I will find a way to come back on and the board will sit as is. We are putting Jonathan Broughton back on the board, our guy that got abused from the very, very beginning. He is going on the board for sure. He might be replacing somebody. Let's find out if he is or not. He is going into the number 9 spot. He is not replacing anybody. But he is going on the board in the number 9 spot. And we're rolling action dice. We're rolling a 6, which means we are swapping 2 teams' positions. 2 12-sided dice. We are swapping number 6 and number 12. So number 6 is not there. So Sean, who is on the board in 12, will go to 6. We'll roll action dice. Number 5 says we are spinning until an open position gets filled. Open spots 2, 3, 4, 11, and 12. Might take a little bit to roll to get one of those. The team that we will be putting into one of those spots is Trevor and Chaos. So we have to roll a single 12-sided die, 2, 3, 4, 11, or 12. 11 is open. Chaos is going into number 11. Rolling the action dice. Action dice is 3, means we're going to pull a team from the board. Only pulling a team from the board if it's one of the spots that already has somebody in it. We don't have anybody in number 2, so nobody gets pulled from the board. So we are re-rolling the action dice. What's Nate's last name, Sean? It's a possibility. He hasn't popped up yet here, which means he might be in the West Canada one that's coming up later. We just rolled an 8, which means we're spinning and replacing a team. If there's no team to replace, like in 2, 3, 4, and 12, then 2, 3, 4, and 12, this team will go right into that spot. I think maybe Nate had a dip this year. Is he getting ready to get married shortly? Or going on a honeymoon? Mike Catania going on the board because we rolled an 8. They could be replacing a team. My dogs are going crazy. That must mean that my guest that is coming over is here now. 1 we cannot put in that spot, so we will re-roll the 12-sided die. Got a name out of the hat, so we got to put them on the board somewhere. 6, and because we rolled an 8, we are going to replace, so Mike is going on the board. Mike is taking over Sean's spot. Sean is coming over here. Mike is going up there. I got to pull Sean, put him back into the hat. Sean is going into the hat. And we are rolling the action dice. 7 means we are going to spin until we have an open hole. Only got 4 of those left. Could take us a little bit to get there. I know, Sean, we lost a guy because something about a honeymoon or a wedding or something like that. And then maybe that was Nate. We're putting Eric Talbot back on the board. We're going to have to roll until we get one of these open spots to put him in. It's going to be 2, 3, 4, or 12. So we got to roll a little bit. Oh, maybe not. 3. We are putting Average Joe's right into number 3. So we've only got 3 spots left. We are about 4 minutes away from the 1 hour mark. 6 means we are swapping 2 teams' positions. Let's roll 2 12-sided die and see who's moving around. 5 and 10 are moving around. So Ottawa Valley is moving down to 10. Ray Finkel moving up to number 5. And we're rolling the action dice. 7 means we've got 3 spots left, 2, 4, and 12. We're going to put a team on the board. We have to roll until we get a 2, 4, or 12. Could take a little bit. 2, 4, or 12 to Jamie going up on the board. Let's roll a single 12-sided die for a 2, 4, or 12. See how long this takes. Too bad you can't get into the number 1 spot. 2, 4, or 12. There's a number 2 spot. So, Jamie, you are going into the number 2 spot. Jamie going to the number 2 spot. I never did shut off Sean. Let me shut him off so he's there in the corner. Come on in, man. I got a chair in your way. Hold up. Come on in. Man, you're missing the chaos. Holy crap.
I like it.
He says he's like, hey, everybody, Gerard Petrino's here from the Gold Dragons region. His show will be coming up at 4 o'clock, maybe delayed because this one is taking forever today. Maybe 2 o'clock, I don't remember. We're at like 2.5 minutes away from the 1 hour mark. All right. We're rolling the action dice. Action dice says 6 means we're swapping 2 teams' positions with 2d12. We are swapping number 8 and number 10. So, James, you are moving into the 10 spot. Ottawa Valley, you moving into the 8 spot. Let's roll some action dice. Papa Squat, man. I know it's messy in here. Oh, man, you're awesome. Thank you. 6. 6 means we are swapping 2 teams' positions, 2d12. We are swapping. We can't swap number 1 because they're locked in. So let's re-roll the action dice. Almost there. I got 2 more teams to get on the board. 10 means we are swapping 3 teams. So let's get a third 12-sided die up there. Let's roll these 3 12-sided die. All right, so number 1 isn't going to get moved anywhere. So what we got is 5 moving into 3. So 5 will move into 3. 3 cannot move into 1. So basically 3 and 5 are just going to swap. And we roll an action dice. It has been crazy, man. I got snake eyes with like 2 or 3 holes left to open on the board. 5 spin into an open position is filled. So this one definitely could take a while. We've only got 4 and 12 left. 2 teams in a hat. 2 spots, 2 teams in a hat. And we are putting the koalas back on the board. So we have to roll a 12-sided die until we get a 4 or a 12. We got a 3. Hopefully y'all can see me. We're 45 seconds away. We got a 4, so we're putting the koalas on the board in the number 4 spot. That means we've only got 1 spot left to fill. That is the number 12 spot. So if we get one of those ones that says we're just going to fill in the last spot, they go into the number 12 spot. Let's see what the action dice say, and let's see what happens in 25 seconds. So 7 means we're spinning into an open position is filled. The only one left to fill is 12. The only team left in the hat is Sean. We're going to put Sean in that position, and then we're going to wait for a few seconds and see if this broadcast does end in 8 seconds. And if it does not, Then we're going to go to the final roll, finally. We're still rolling according to my side. Please, somebody give me a yes. You can still see me. We've made it past the 1 hour mark. I need a thumbs up from a Sean, a Jonathan, a Damien, a Jamie, a Mitch. If you guys are still out there, give me a thumbs up before we do this final roll. And then I'll explain the final roll, and then we'll do it. Sean says he's still here, and we're still good. All right, good deal. All right, so here's what we do. Final roll is 2 4-sided die instead of the 2 6-sided die like we've been doing for the action dice the whole time. Let me pull up what that list looks like. So here is the final roll list. Here's what happens when we roll the 2 4-sided die. So if we roll a 2, we will roll 2 12-sided dice and we will swap 2 teams. If we roll a 3, it will be 3 teams. If it's 4, it's 4 teams. If we roll a 5, we're moving all teams up or down 1 spot based on the 12-sided die roll of even or odd. If we roll a 6, we are flipping a row. What does that mean? The rows of 1 through 6 or the row of 7 through 12 flip-flop. So let's say we roll a 10. Whatever number we roll is wherever that falls in the row, that is the row that we will be flipping. So let's say we roll a 10. So 7 will become 12, 8 will become 11, 9 will become 10. If we get a 7, we will flip both rows that way, where in this case 1 will become 6, 2 will become 5. If we roll an 8, we are flipping the whole board. What does that mean? 1 becomes 12, 11 becomes 2, 3 becomes 10. What happens if we flip a whole board or a row in this case? Anybody who has to flip with the number 1 spot, whether that's 6 or 12, does not move because you cannot move into a locked spot, so you will be stuck in that spot. So if that happens to come up. So now that you know all of that, we are going to take off the 2 6-sided dice. We're going to put on 2 4-sided dice. And we're getting ready to roll to find out what the final number is. Final number is, for those who don't know how to read this, it is the point that you were looking at on the 4-sided dice. That is the number that gives you the total of 5. For you old school gamers, the 4-sided dice used to be the number that was in the center of the base. They have now changed it, so now it's the point of this. It's number 5, which means everybody is moving up or down 1 position based on 1 12-sided die roll. If it's an odd or an even, again, we will skip over the number 1 spot because they cannot move. So in this case, if we have to move down the board, 12 would end up becoming the 2 spot and everybody will shift from there. So let's roll the 12-sided die and see if we get an odd or an even. It is an even number, meaning everybody is moving down 1 position. So here's what this looks like. Since the board is circular, I got to get over in the right spot. Sean moves up to the 2 spot. 11 becomes 12, 10 becomes 11, 9 becomes 10, 8 becomes 9, 7 becomes 8. Catania moves over to 7. Average Joe's into 6. Koala's into 5. Ray Finkel into 4. Jamie moves down to 3. And Sean, who was just sitting in the 12 spot, now gets the number 2 overall spot. That is the end of the East Canadian Banshees draft selection show. Here is the final one. I will take a screenshot. I will send this to everybody. I will send a link to everybody inside your channel on Discord as well. And then I've got about 50 minutes to get ready for the next one, which kicks off at noon. If you have any questions, hit me up on Discord, and we'll talk from there. Hopefully you all were happy with your positions. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll talk to you again soon. Man.